You know, we have to look at this from a cost-benefit perspective, and in terms of the benefit, you know, the national security benefit of this kind of enforcement is questionable at best. You know, if you're stopping everyone without suspicion, you're really directing resources away from suspicious activity, which would probably be a better way to spend your enforcement dollars. You know, we hold that there's smarter ways to spend our money. And on the other side of the ledger, next slide please, what's the price that we pay? Our communities certainly pay a price. If we're US citizens, we wonder if we can go to work without fear of being stopped at one of these checkpoints, at the very least inconvenienced and possibly harassed. In communities of color, of course, there's a lot of fear, including among citizens and legal permanent resident immigrants. There's of course a lot of fear of racial profiling as well. And you know, we've heard from the Border Patrol as well that Hispanics or Latinos are being sent to secondary at a rate that's considerably higher than their proportion in the population. So that's a real concern. And of course, you know, many of our families, it's a reality that many of our families are mixed in terms of immigration status. So there may be undocumented individuals who have US citizen kids. And those kids are suffering if their parents can't go to work because they're afraid of running into a checkpoint. Next slide, please. Okay. So, of course, there's economic costs. We've heard from the Growers Association that they're not happy about this because their workforce fears going to work. And of course, in terms of the cooperation between Customs and Border Patrol and local agencies, many police chiefs around the country have come out against this kind of cooperation simply because they believe that it chills the community policing aspect. So in other words, people are going to be afraid to report crimes if they believe that the Border Patrol is entangled with their law enforcement agency. I think using the CBP as translators or interpreters is probably a prime example of that. And so, you know, we believe that local agencies are not required to cooperate with Customs and Border Patrol, and we'd encourage you, if you live in one of these jurisdictions, to call your county executive or your mayor and your council, your county council or your city council, and encourage that cooperation not to occur. A couple of points on knowing your rights for individuals. You know, I'm not going to go into the substance of this because you know, we really don't have the time. But we have Know Your Rights materials available. We have your Know Your Rights cards, and you know, of course, the Constitution applies to everyone, as Annie has said, regardless of what your immigration status is. Some really critical takeaways: don't lie, don't carry false or foreign documents, and you can remain silent. And that applies again regardless of your immigration status. So, you know, you don't have to answer questions that you can always ask to speak with a lawyer. At the checkpoints, if you're a driver, as Annie mentioned, under state law, you have to show your license, registration, and proof of insurance. You should give your name, but you don't have to volunteer more than that. If you've got valid documents, you should show them. And again, don't sign anything without talking to a lawyer. We've got these nifty little wallet cards as well that I think are up on our website. And you know, you can certainly get them by calling our office as well. I'm going to end up with a couple of things for communities to do. One is, of course, planning for enforcement actions. So checkpoints, immigration raids, you know, communities can think about what they need to do ahead of time and try and plan for whatever their individual needs are. There's no one-size-fits-all blueprint, but there are some good plans out there that communities can pick and choose from, and again, those are available through the ACLU. They include some Train the Trainers curricula, Know Your Rights materials, and how to develop a family safety plan. And then, very importantly, advocacy. So government agencies are accountable to you. I can't stress that enough. So you're their bosses, and if you're disturbed by what's going on here, it would be a good time to call your elected officials, both on the federal level and on the local level. So let them hear from you. We know that Representative Larson and Representative Dix, and I believe there's folks from their offices here tonight, have expressed concerns that the checkpoints be conducted in a constitutional manner. Senator Cantwell and Senator Murray would be other folks as well to call to encourage those lawmakers to put pressure directly on the Department of Homeland Security, of which Customs and Border Patrol is a part. And ask the question, do we really need 45 Customs and Border Patrol? Just really quickly, local direct advocacy is also important, and again, as I mentioned before, particularly if there's local agencies that you believe are involved in immigration enforcement, you should talk to your local electeds. There's a whole, next slide please, there's a whole range of issues, and you guys probably, I know that many of you are seasoned activists, you probably know all this stuff, but certainly, direct calls, letters, emails, public actions and rallies, you've done that, some of that already. Press conferences, community forums, trainings, listservs. There are many, many tools out there that you can use. These two last pieces I'm going to talk a little bit more about simply because we believe that documentation is very important at this point in terms of what the Customs and Border Patrol and other agencies are doing out on the peninsula. We are looking to develop legal strategies at the ACLU to challenge the checkpoints, and in order for that to happen, we need stories that go beyond just anecdotal evidence that, somebody saw somebody and this happened to them. We need, okay, I'm wrapping up. We need direct eyewitnesses who are willing to speak up, who document exactly which agencies were involved, when it happened, and how it happened. And so I'm next slide, please. So I'm hoping if you're able to do that, that you can contact the ACLU of Washington office and help us challenge some of these activities. And of course, if you want, you can also join the ACLU. We'll have tables outside with those materials.